Welcome, Marlene here for today's cookie project. I'm going to share how to make these cute little cherry cookies. I really like for Valentine's Day kind of pun cookies that you can wrap and have a little card to attach so it kind of like goes together. Here are some cute little puns that you can add to a cherry cookie. And also, I'm not decorating both cherries the same. I'm making a little boy and a little girl version just to show the two face designs. And now on to the step-by-step cookie tutorial. I'm starting the design with some brown icing. I have a pretty big tip. I think it's a number 3. I want to make a nice fat chubby line. And you can see I'm increasing the pressure at the beginning and then reducing as I pull up towards the top of the shape. And then if you really examine that cookie, you'll see there's like an impression where the cherries are. Since it's not a round cookie, I wanted to just make sure that my 2 cherries were a nice round shape. I just used a small round cookie cutter to create that little impression. It gives me a super fast guideline. No need to wait for the brown to dry before moving on to the cherry. They're not really connected. And I'm just outlining that whole kind of area for the leaf. It's really not very confusing as to where you should pipe. The shape is really well defined. So I'm just flooding and smoothing that out. Now you'll see why I made those little indentations on my cookie dough. I'm using a color called Claret that is made by Rainbow Dust. And I'm working 1 cherry at a time since I'm adding some of the details in that icing wet on wet. And I want to make sure that it has no time to dry that base icing so that when I add my details, they'll sink in and look right. So I'm smoothing that out and I'm going to add a little white reflection there at the top right of the round. That just gives it the look that it's shiny. And now with a lighter pink color, I'm adding the little cheek area, wet on wet. I'm doing it in a lighter pink since these cookies are already very dark. It's going to be difficult to add blush with, say, a petal dust. And in the wet icing, I'm dropping in 2 4mm pearls. I like my pearls added to wet icing, not at the surface of the icing. It gives a really bulgy eye when you add it after the icing is dry, and they're not as well secured into the icing. And now I can move on to the other cherry, repeating the design almost exactly. The only thing that really changes in the face is the mouth, and you'll see that little change makes them look completely different. One of the trickier things to do in cookie decorating is piping perfect circles, and so that little indentation on the cookie dough really is helpful to get that perfectly round cherry shape. And here you can see the little difference. I'm adding a smile in black icing, again in wet on wet icing, so that it sinks into the surface of that base icing, the eyes, and the little boy version is done. Now for the kiss, it is only like 3 dots of icing basically that are clustered together. So 2 small dots on top, 1 big one at the bottom in red. And now I'm pulling with my needle tool on one side, and it gives it the impression that the kiss is going towards that other cherry. And with an edible ink food marker, I'm adding some little face details, little eyebrows and such. If you add them in royal icing, they look really clunky on the face. With the marker, it's just fine detail. So I hope you enjoyed this cookie tutorial. If you have any questions, please post them in the comments and I'll do my best to get back to you. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.